What gets you hooked on a particular animal? In my case, it was way back when I was hunting archery equipment back in Wyoming. The horses, the wall tents, the smell of the wood smoke, the adventure. Oh, and I took my first elk. I was an elk hunter for sure. But in this particular week, we're going for Roosevelt and Thule, part of my obsession quest. Don't go away, folks. It will get you hooked on elk hunting.
Bass Pro Shops and Alamositos Ranch present Bob Volkrod's Hunting Adventures. Seven continents, 80 species, a 5-year quest in the making. High adventure, dangerous game. Real-world training tips. This is Bob Volkrod's Hunting Adventures.
The Roosevelt elk is off on an island by itself. And it's kind of unique because you get into California and boy, there's everything and the traffic and the hustle bustle of life going on in California, just what you expect it to be.
This is not a good time to have my batteries die on a GPS when you're going down the 101 at 70 miles an hour of traffic, bumper to bumper. Put me back in the woods.
Well, we take a commercial airplane out of Elmar, New York. That's about where I fly out of most of the time. And we wind up getting into a little airport out there, taking a small puddle jumper into Santa Rosa Island.
Well, one thing about taking a little puddle jumper from, the mainland into the island is, it's kind of curiosity to see what kind of a small airplane they're going to put on. I've been on a lot of small planes, from bush planes to wheel planes, and this was pretty small. I mean, they kept you down to 50 pounds, and and when it lands, it may bounce a time or two. And in this case, the wind was blowing pretty good, so you was in for a pretty good ride.
Looks like we're here. When you got off from the plane and you looked around and you've seen some of the mountains, you realize it's quite a mountainous area. And anytime you got those many mountains, you're going to have a lot of valleys, a lot of ridges, and a lot of place for these animals to hide.
The scenery all by itself is spectacular, and that's one thing about this obsession quest is just the different parts of the world and the scenery that you see. Just the old building that we stayed into was pretty special. I mean, you're right there overlooking the ocean, and the trucks would pull up and you get into them and you hear the ocean roaring in the background. That's a pretty hard thing to take when you're sitting there hunting something like a Roosevelt elk.
Well, I'll tell you what happens. They're going to be down this afternoon if the wind dies. Man, they're just up like in the morning.
The anticipation of the other hunters leaving, and you got a truck full of horns of mule deer and elk horns and big smiley faces. Yes, sir. Ooh, there's a heavy one. Got a pile of them.
Yeah, it's something that we've accumulated. Sometimes they go off and
they brought us inside and they kind of break it down and tell you how the hunt's going to operate.
And we don't keep any shells in the chamber until the guide says so, or you ask them. Meals are going to be great. When we talk about having a good time, it's part of those meals. Sharon just does a great job on cooking.
Well, in this particular hunt, it wasn't one guide on two, it was one guide for two hunters, and since we didn't come in with anybody, they paired us up with a guy. His name was James Bogan, and what a character, and I guess he would say the same about me, but for whatever reason, they paired us up good, and we had a fantastic time picking on one another and reminiscing and telling stories. They did a good job pairing him and me up. What do you think I've been calling you old-timer for?
I don't think that qualifies as seniority.
We didn't know one another, but our personalities, I guess, was the same. Our joke line was the same. We liked to pick and fool about the same.
Full square baler. Look at that. You got a little pony motor on top. That brings back memory. You got away from them, they went to them great big round bales. Now they made them illegal. You can't use them in Pennsylvania, them big round bales anymore.
Why?
Cattle wasn't getting a square meal.
It's definitely a beautiful place. I mean, there's not too many places in the world that you can sit there and be glassing mule deer and see the ocean in the background, or hear elk bugle and look up and see the ocean. It is one of the most prettiest places that I've been.
Bob Folkrod's hunting gear includes a Browning A-Bolt and 300 short mag, Winchester 180 grain Nosler ballistic tip bullets, Swarovski optics, Redhead Enduraskin base layers, Redhead clothing with Gore-Tex and Windstopper.
One of the first things that we do when we got the island is got our firearms out and went to the rifle range and sighted these rifles in to make sure that they made the airplane trip well. Wind was blowing and gusting pretty hard, but we managed to make sure it was on, and now it's off to see whether we can see any elk.
The first day, the wind was blowing so hard, about to blow you off I mean, you had to go on the other side of the truck just to keep from getting blowed off the mountain. It was pretty fast and furious.
Even with the wind gusting that hard, we managed to see some elk. Nothing that we really wanted to, but they were down in the valleys and trying to get away from the wind just like we were trying to do. But yeah, that first day really made it hard to glass. You had to get on the other side of the truck just to try to break the wind, and it was a tough first day with that wind blowing like it was. It was pretty tough to see some of the elk sometimes in the ravine because of the shades and the shallows and things like that. And one of the first ones that we did see, we decided to do a stalk on it. He didn't look bad from where we were, but when we got in a little closer, we realized he had a broken tine. And at the same time, it kind of gave me an idea on how spooky they would be to try to get close to. And as elk is an elk, no matter where you hunt him. We busted him out of there, but we wasn't going to shoot him anyway because he had a broken tine. But it told me that you're going to have to pay attention to wind. You're going to have to pay attention to details because these elk have been hunted and they are a little spooky.
We're not going to shoot him. He's missing some points. He's missing a two. Oh, he's not.
That was a neat elk. It's a good thing he spotted. He had a point broken off on that elk. I think I would have taken him. I mean, we were doing a stalk like we were going to take him, so that's for sure. But anyway, he told us to drop down this valley, come out this valley. He's going to bring the truck around and pick us up. So we're headed this direction.
Transportation for all of Bob Folkrod's hunting adventures is provided by Victor Chevrolet. Check them out at victorchevrolet.com.